Hey guys, and welcome back to Mangotology. If you're new here, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Steven Mango, and I'm an ex-Scientologist that works here on YouTube to expose Scientology. If you'd like to stay up to date on all my videos, please make sure to go down below, hit that red subscribe button, and turn on your bell notifications, and you'll get an alert whenever I release a new video exposing Scientology. In today's video, we are going to be discussing and diving a little bit more deeper into the disappearance of Shelly Miscavige. I have a private conversation that happened between Shelly and a former Int-based staff member who has since left Scientology and is speaking out against the cult. We have her conversation with Shelly, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing and something that really does piece together the puzzle of the disappearance of Shelly a little bit better than what you may have already been hearing and seeing in the media. So this is, I guess, a little bit more of a breaking piece of the puzzle that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, and just having a conversation about Shelly, what this quarantine means for Scientology, and everything that has been going on as of late. So if you're interested in hearing all of this, then keep on watching. Hey again guys, so before we jump into this video today, I want to let you guys know that I finally released my beauty channel. It's called Beauty Fruit, and as you guys know, if you've been following my journey here on YouTube, I've been talking about setting up this channel for a very long time. It is one of my passion projects, I guess, and is something that is going to be hopefully a really big successful channel that will blow up here on YouTube, so I can kind of focus on my passion, which is beauty, skincare, talking about aesthetic medicine. I'm going to be showing you guys and taking you into some of the hottest and latest breaking beauty treatments that are happening in LA, and also sharing with you some different like at-home skincare and makeup application and so much more. As you guys know, I went to hairdressing school and I'm a licensed cosmetologist, but we're going to be diving more into like some of the most expensive and bougie skincare and beauty treatments that you can get. So if you guys have any interest in watching me on my beauty journey, and even if you don't, if you want to check out my videos just to support and give that channel a subscribe or like some different stuff that I've been posting over there, I would highly appreciate it, as I'm trying to get that channel up and going and monetized, and it's going to be something to help me be able to move on from my experience from Scientology and kind of helping me without having to always be involved in talking about like really highly charged and triggering subjects to me. I want this to hopefully be a big success, and if you guys would like to check it out, the link to Beauty Fruit is down in the description box below. Thank you so much to all of you guys who do support me and who have been looking forward and asking about this channel. So it is up. I have 2 videos on that channel. One video is me interviewing an Instagram famous plastic surgeon. The other video is me getting a cosmetic injectable makeover in Beverly Hills. So I have 2 videos already over there if you have any interest in checking them out. Okay, so for why you guys are here, we are going to be talking about Shelly Miscavige and Scientology. So I've done a number of videos about Shelly Miscavige and her disappearance over the years, and as an ex-Scientologist and someone who's seen more of the inner workings of Scientology, even though I wasn't in the Sea Org, I wasn't in international Scientology management, I still think from my personal experience and seeing what happened to Shelly, never mind what was even just happening to me, I think I do have a really strong opinion and feeling and an understanding of the Shelly Miscavige case. And that's why I make so many videos on Shelly, because I really do want to fight for Shelly. I don't think that she is alive and well, but if she is, then I want to make these videos to put pressure on Scientology to produce her if she is in fact out there and is somewhere in Scientology's desert mountain compounds in Southern California. I, like I said, don't believe that she is well, whether that's a sickness, whether she's buried on Scientology property somewhere, or David Miscavige lashed out in a fit of rage against Shelly. I do think that something happened to where they can't produce her. And I know I sound like a broken record talking about this, but if there are critics like Leah Remini, myself, and a number of other people out there who are exposing Scientology and the abuses, if Scientology wants to prove all of us wrong, what they would do if Shelly was alive and okay was they would get the Scientology media productions. They have a whole television studio right down the street from where I live, and they have a whole other wide variety of media sources. They have their own television network after all. Why don't they get a small little crew to make a little quick 20-second video saying, "Hi, I'm Shelly Miscavige. I'm not a public figure. I am okay. I'm alive and well. Don't listen to the critics of Scientology. I know that you guys have been wondering where I am, but I'm okay. Wouldn't that shut up all the media? Wouldn't that shut up people like myself who are exposing Scientology every single day? Because Scientology would want to have that power. They would want to say that the critics aren't right. They go on all these different campaigns all the time trying to shut down people like myself and say that we're all just like these liars and opportunists and trying to one up on our misfortunes of being past members of the church, and we've all been kicked out, and they have all the different lies that they run. So if that's true, Scientology, and Shelly is okay, take a picture of her with the newspaper that shows the current date in April 2020, right? And I, again, think Scientology would do that if she was okay. Even if she's not a public figure, I did a video you guys can see where Scientology was actually tweeting privately to one of my friends saying, well, she's not a public figure. She doesn't have to owe like her fans anything. And it's nothing about fans, Scientology. It's actually about a missing person. And Scientology never produced her from the missing person report that Leigh Remini filed. And they shut the case down because, as we know, LAPD is highly in bed with Scientology. They accept checks on stage at their celebrity center for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 at their annual events, and Scientology hires them as off-duty guards, and they obviously have a very big influence in LA because Scientology likes to throw money around to different people in order to get them to be pro-Scientology or the checks stop flowing in. So again, until Scientology's accounts all get seized and frozen, Scientology does have that power and influence over city officials and government. Unless you're in Clearwater, and Mark Bunker just got elected into the Clearwater City Council, which is very interesting. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him being an anti-Scientology critic actually in the city of Clearwater as a chair member. I don't really know what the exact phrase is of his title, but I do know that he was elected into the city of Clearwater. So we will see what happens with that. But this whole self-isolation period made me really think and wonder a lot about Shelly. And I feel like I've been in kind of like a self-isolation for a number of years, and people are going crazy after like 2-3 weeks of this. This is basically what my life is as a YouTuber and someone who's trying to get back on my feet after Scientology and trying to discover myself. And it does feel like, you know, Groundhog Day every single day. So I'm someone who's experienced this for years on end, so I kind of understand that. But think of someone like Shelly, who's stored away in Scientology's desert mountain compounds. If she is alive and well, again, I don't know 100%. I'm only speculating on the clues that we have that I'm using to piece together. I have seen how evil Scientology is firsthand. I'm telling you guys, I've been in different sessions with Sea Org staff members and people where they would be doing drills to train the Sea Org members to be able to tell lies and being able to tell acceptable truths in different like PR level responses. And I would be like the coach to the Sea Org members. So they would say a lie. For example, Scientology welcomes anyone of any sexual orientation and whatever. And I would have to coach them to see if they're saying their TR level response for public relations, if that's actually believable and if they can say it with conviction. So I know how Scientology operates, and I've seen it firsthand. I've seen the abuse. I've experienced the abuse as a public member. I wasn't in Scientology staff, guys. I was a public person that was paying them, and I actually underwent physical, mental, spiritual abuse inside the walls of Scientology. So that's why when I know, and I've seen all over the years since I've been out and hear different people's accounts of David Miscavige, his quick temper and anger and the way he lashes out and physically assaults people, bending people's fingers back to actually physically like beating people to a pulp to the ground. This isn't someone who's mentally stable. So given that Shelly is the wife of the leader and they're supposed to be like this picture-perfect couple, and even when they go to Scientology events and different things, why wouldn't he have his wife there after all these number of years? I'm going to talk a little bit about what Shelly did as well to anger David Miscavige after I'm going to reveal to you this conversation, which I think is very interesting. So we are going to be reading an excerpt from a conversation between Karen Presley, who is an ex-Scientologist. She was formerly at Base, which is Scientology's management, and she's since left. She's written a book about her time. She was also the commanding officer of Celebrity Center at one period in time. So I'm going to be reading to her conversation with Shelly. And Karen's actually been on my channel. If you guys are interested in checking it out, it's I'll try to link it below if I have the video. It's on my channel, and I interviewed Karen probably a few years back, and I know a lot of you guys want to see me actually talking and sharing other people's story on my platform here, and that's exactly what I did back then. I have probably like a 40-minute video with Karen exposing everything about her time inside Scientology. So again, if you guys are bored during this time period and you're home and you want to check out an interview with someone who's very high up in Scientology in the past, check it out. But basically, Karen wrote this in her book, and she made this Facebook post that I came across the other day, which we're going to be getting into, and she shared a conversation that she had with Shelly Miscavige, again, before she went missing, but that all ties into like the events that happened right before Shelly went missing. And some of the things I think are just very telling and interesting. So without further ado, let's read this conversation to you guys, and then we're going to discuss. Shelly Miscavige. Don't know precisely where she is or whether she is well, whether she is affected by the coronavirus or just working daily while oblivious to the pandemic. Her well-being popped into my thoughts as I was reflecting on how fortunate I am to be with my husband Greg as we get through this current crisis, along with so many friends and loved ones that I'm able to stay in touch with. Wondering how alone she is, whether she can be in touch with loved ones or not, and does she even have any loved ones that she can communicate with. The thought of her being stashed away just stirred up anger about her disappearance. So I wanted to share some of my last words with her from the summer of 1998 at the INT base. This is an excerpt from my book, Escaping Scientology, An Insider's True Story. I reflected on a recent conversation Shelly Miscavige and I had, sitting in one of RTC's upper villa offices. This is where we'd meet to discuss uniform projects. She had been reminiscing about being a Commodore's messenger on the Apollo when they wore uniforms of white shorts and white boots and tie-ties. We laughed about me having no idea what a tie-tie was, and that she had trouble describing a tie-tie other than calling it, you know, a tie-tie. She also told me about a movie she had seen and loved, The English Patient, that I had seen once. The story was about a French-Canadian nurse living in a bombed-out Italian monastery after World War II, nursing a critically burned English-speaking man who reveals his past to her. Working in the 1930s as a cartographer in the Egyptian-Libyan deserts. Shelley was smitten with the style of this film. She loved the clothing of that period that the actors wore. She told me to research that movie and propose a uniform for COB's office staff based in this. It had what I thought was a Banana Republic influence with the 1930s khaki pants and white cotton open neck shirts, tan leather belts. In the midst of this light-hearted conversation, she asked me, "What tone level do you think the INT-based staff are in?" With little hesitation, I said, "I think most everyone is in numb or in fear. That is below 1-1 covert hostility, around 1.0 on a scale of 0 to 40. Individuals ridden by fear are afraid to be or to own anything." COB Assistant responded, "I think they're lower, and like apathy. That's 0.5 on the tone scale." I wanted to ask her why she thought the staff had fallen into apathy, but felt a bit cautious of treading too far into what was a comfortable conversation. I did say, "I think many people don't know how to do what's wanted on their post. They're afraid of screwing up and angering COB. She responded, "So many people have no clue how to do what's wanted on their post. They're afraid of screwing up and angering COB. She replied, "So many people have no clue how to do work without requiring orders. They wait for orders before they will do anything." I responded, "Sir, do you think they will wait for orders to do anything because they are in fear of doing something on their own that is wrong?" "No, that's just being a robot. Not doing anything is apathy," she said. LRH Tech on SPs and potential trouble sources says that a sign of an SP in the area is that people around them are not doing well, are sick and failing in life. I wanted to ask Shelly Miscavige whether she has ever considered getting the INT-based staff through the PTS-SP course. That was one thing that has never been tried in terms of correcting what seemed to be an impossible situation of correcting the INT-based staff. But I didn't feel free to ask her that question, nor was Shelly free enough in her own thinking to consider that her husband might be an SP, causing many staffs to stumble in their effectiveness. As I'm typing this right now, I'm thinking about what happened to Shelly after she took the actions on her own initiative that got her into trouble with Dave, getting their room renovations done, finishing the org board project, etc. while he was away, for which she was then banished from the INT base. Perhaps others reading this have last words or anecdotes to share. I hope she is well. So as you guys may or may not know, Scientology has a tone scale. Very quickly and briefly, it goes from body death all the way up to like total serenity of beingness. And There's different qualities of a person, whether that's boredom, whether that's antagonism, whether that's covert hostility, fear. It ranks all the way from the lowest of those tones all the way to the top. So Karen and Shelly were having this conversation, basically talking about how the staff members are like in apathy and are very low tone. They don't know how to do their job on their post, and that they're basically live in fear of David Miscavige and his orders. Now, during this time, Shelly took it on her own initiative to switch up the org board. The org board in Scientology lists all the different departments and posts within Scientology, and whether that's, for example, Division 6, and that could be course supervisor, like an entry-level registrar for the Div 6, which is like the entry-level courses, and it would go all under Div 6, for example, on like a regular org. In management, they have, of course, all their management posts, and basically Shelly kind of reorganized everyone's posts and where they were in the org board, had things to do with different renovations that were happening at the org, and this is what sent Miscavige on a whole tailspin against Shelly, where she got into obviously a lot of trouble for doing this. I also wanted to bring up another important piece of information and another piece of this puzzle to Shelly's disappearance, which is the alleged affair that has been going on or did occur between David Miscavige and his assistant Laurice Stuckenbrock. Now, Shelly was, of course, COB's assistant, and Miscavige replaced her with his new assistant Laurice. Now, others have actually seen physical contact between COB and his assistant, such as Leah Remini spotting some hands-on behavior between David Miscavige and his assistant at Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' wedding, and there's been other rumors over the years that they've been having some type of an affair, which I very well think could be the case, and I think is very interesting that right around the time Shelly's banished after having upset Miscavige, that he could have had some type of physical contact or some type of affair with his assistant, and whether or not that's the direct reason why Shelly was banished because he found someone else, or that he was so angered that he decided to go be with another woman. I do think that this is something that not a lot of people know about, that I wanted to also bring to light, that there was an affair alleged between David Miscavige and his assistant right around the time when Shelly went missing. And the most recent defector from IntBase, which was Valerie Haney years ago, saw Shelly leaving in tears in a car. She wasn't well and probably scared to be banished off to wherever she was banished to, which is, again, CST headquarters, which is, again, a mountain compound, a very small base within Scientology's upper level management and everything like that. So Tony Ortega actually took it upon himself when I released one of my other Shelly videos to make it seem like he knows exactly where Shelly is and she's at the CST headquarters. And again, if she was alive and well and everyone knew she was there, especially if there's pending litigation where she could be called into deposition from some of these lawsuits from people like Valerie Haney, like a lot of other people who've been filing very large lawsuits against Scientology, they don't want Shelly to be found and deposed because she knows too much about Scientology. I think if she is alive and well, that they're hiding her, even if there's an underground bunker on the, no pun intended because we're talking about Tony Ortega too, because his site is the underground bunker, but if there is an underground bunker, Shelly is going to be placed there. Wherever Shelly is or has last been seen, like, yeah, okay, someone escaped 5 years ago. If we knew exactly 100% where Shelly is, then it'd be easy to spot her or to find her or to rescue her or to send help or authorities after her or whatever it is. I don't think that they would keep her in the very same exact spot that a defector has seen her last at. And even when I was in Scientology, things change and happen very quickly. So again, they're smarter than I think a lot of people are willing to give them credit for, because they're not just going to let their missing leader or the missing wife's leader just be publicly known as being at like a very specific address. I think that they very well could or have already sent her somewhere like Australia, somewhere like Europe, somewhere where she can't be deposed in an American legislation, I guess, or in like a courtroom. They don't want Shelly to be making any statements on a public record. And I think the same thing with David Miscavige. I think that as these lawsuits are coming out, I think that that he's going to go either on the Free Winds, which is Scientology's big cruise ship, and he's going to go on international waters, just like Hubbard did in his like last final days. Well, really not like the last days, but near the end period of when Scientology was coming under a lot more scrutiny by the government, and there was raids, and Mary Sue Hubbard went to jail, and you know, there's the whole Scientology history of everything that happened before I was born. But again, back in the day when all these different things happened. So I think this could be very well how Miscavige is going to be avoiding testimony in these different lawsuits, is he's going to go onto, you know, foreign land and foreign sea, I guess, and he's going to be on Scientology's cruise ship maybe, or he's going to go to another Scientology advanced org in a different country, maybe to Sane Hill Manor, which is where L. Ron Hubbard lived in the UK. So I do think that Miscavige would do that to avoid there being any possibility he goes to jail, any possibility criminal charges get brought upon him, any possibility that tax exemption is questioned in America. I think that if he's able to avoid answering any questions about that, he will. Same thing about Shelly. Why would Shelly be just publicly known to be at a specific address? So I just think that for Tony Ortega to think that he's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all about Scientology and everything, I don't give him credit for knowing. Just because he talked to a couple ex-members who left 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that doesn't necessarily mean that's up-to-date information on Shelly's whereabouts. So I think that we all have to keep our eyes open and our ears peeled, or however the saying goes, to know that Scientology is a crazy criminal organization. So we don't know, but I can kind of speculate, and I, again, don't necessarily think that Tony Ortega knows 100% Shelly Miscavige's whereabouts. So again, he's reliable for some information about Scientology, but again, there's some other times where I don't 100% agree with everything that he posts, or his expert knowledge on a lot of different things is correct. But anyways, that's again going off into a tangent. But with Shelly, during the self-isolation period, I also think it's interesting. I can't really use the words of the virus and stuff going around because YouTube will flag the video and it won't be found in subscriptions and stuff for you guys. But Scientology made a statement again recently about how they're taking safety precautions. They're like the top in the world in terms of like safety and cleanliness and all these different things. And I think that initially they came under fire and under heat because they were saying it was planetary bull bait, and planetary bull bait being, you know, it's just in order to like get everyone into like a frenzy and make everyone upset, and the media is scaring people, and it's some sort of like twisted, scary scheme in order to control the American and people in the world by making them all fearful that this virus is around. And again, Scientologists basically believe that they can't really get sick unless they're PTS or they're an SP or they pulled it in or brought it into their universe. They're not as susceptible to illness and disease and all that because they're these OT or just highly powered beings in Scientology. As long as you have your ethics in and you're an ethical person, you're not going to risk getting sick. But they since kind of switched up and said, no, we want to make it almost appear like we're, you know, concerned, and we're going to hand out these booklets that talk about hand washing and wearing masks and all these other things. So they have this like new workbook thing or pamphlet that they're giving out in different cities and stuff to like help the citizens with, you know, avoiding and taking more precautions against this sickness. So they have this little workbook thing. It is completely dead every day when I drive by Big Blue. There's no one there. I've seen a couple people like around, but again, they already didn't have a lot of people there to begin with. Now it's like a ghost town. And I even saw Odo, who's one of the Scientology guards. He had like a germ mask on, and he had like a little mustache because, you know, he has like a beard, and he had like this little mustache on his germ mask, which is very weird that he drew it on or someone gave it to him like that. But anyways, yeah, all the guards are wearing like masks and stuff like that. And Scientology's vitamin store is actually still open, which is weird. A public business, which is Peter's Vitamins, or it was Peter Gillam's Vitamins, but now it's like Peter's Choice, or I don't know what it is, but it's on Fountain Avenue in Los Angeles, still open even though it's mandated every business shuts down. So I don't know how they're still staying open, but the org still appears to have public going in and taking church services. So there actually was a church minister, someone in Florida, who was assembling a lot of different people into his church, not taking the precautions seriously, and he got like criminally charged for having his regular church sermon. So why isn't David Miscavige or Scientology or any management person not getting in trouble for still having congregations of people inside Scientology? I'm sure that they're still in the course rooms. I know that they're trying to say like, oh, we're having extension courses, which are basically book and lecture courses you do from home, and Scientology like grades them, and it's done over the internet. But mostly for auditing and other stuff, I believe it's still going on. I think they're still in the course rooms. I think that maybe the city should try to shut them down. They want the money, Scientology. They're not going to want to lose business just because of a virus that they don't even really believe exists. Their first initial statement, which I don't remember if I actually talked about on my channel or not, I do think that when they were talking about planetary bull baiting, and it's just to upset the people and Scientologists, and we're not concerned because we have great safety and health, sanitation skills, or whatever they're trying to claim. I just think that they need to, it actually, you know, I was just thinking about it too, it's interesting because it's like they don't agree with it, but then the Scientologists, like, it's kind of like this cognitive dissonance where they don't believe the virus exists, but then the Scientologists have to wear masks and wash their hands and all that. So I'm surprised that none of them are like, hey, we don't believe it exists, but you're still telling us to take precautions against something that we don't actually believe happens, is taking the virus. And I do think it's still a germ breeding ground where the Sea Org members live in these bunk beds, like 20 people in a room. If someone does have the virus and spreads it to all those people, yes, even when they are symptomatic and they go into their own quarantine, their own isolation, all those other 20 people are just exposed that were just sleeping in the same room as that other guy was, right? So even if he's in the isolation, they're not going to the hospital. They're doing Scientology, voodoo magic, healing sessions to that person, or maybe give them high dose vitamins. I don't really know exactly what their protocol would be, but it would be in the isolation area, which still is within the org, which can still spread germs and the virus out there to the other people. So again, it just like drives me crazy that they're not taking it seriously in the way that they should. But again, it just made me think about Shelly Miscavige during this time period and wondering like, oh, it's like Shelly probably doesn't even know this virus exists. Shelly doesn't even know that wherever she's headquartered in Hemet, I don't know what would be like a landmark, but maybe she hasn't, you know, seen the corner store, didn't even know that was built, and it could have been there for the last 10 years. Like, you just think about that. Like, people are home, like, having to watch Netflix or YouTube or Mangotology at home, right? And they're complaining, like, oh my God, I can't leave. Could you imagine if you're Shelly and you haven't seen the light of day in like 15 years? And it's like, honestly, like, my biggest of the Scientology activism stuff, or whatever you call this that I do, my biggest number one, like, oh my God, like the number one thing that bothers me more than anything is the Shelly Miscavige stuff. It bothers me that she's not been seen and there's nothing I can do about it besides making these videos and bringing public awareness to it. But it's like, oh my God, like, it frustrates me to no end that someone could have been murdered and killed, or she's being tortured and punished in a free country. This is America. And Shelly could be tortured, punished, abused, locked away, like maybe being restricted from food. Look at Lisa McPherson with cockroach bites all over her when she was found under Scientology's care. I need to do a whole thing on Lisa McPherson. I don't think I've ever really like dived into the Lisa McPherson case, but there's just so much that is happening that our government doesn't do anything about, because Scientology is a tax-exempt organization. And someone like Shelly could be abused, dead, whatever, and David Miscavige can roam around the world with billions of dollars acting like nothing ever happened. And Scientology tries to cover it up, and they could because they're a tax-exempt religion. So it just like highly bothers me, and I will talk about it until the day that I die, until someone actually accounts for what actually happened to Shelly, or until she comes forward and says something. I'm going to make these videos. I'll make a documentary, a multi-million-dollar budget documentary, if I ever had the access to do such a thing. Maybe I should do one on Lisa McPherson, actually. That's something I was thinking about too. I'd love to do documentaries sometime, guys, to really blow the lid off of some of these different cases that Scientology just continues to bury and pretend doesn't even exist. And maybe I need like a little Scientology crime investigation series here on Mangotology. So if you guys are interested in hearing about that, or me making those videos rather than, let me know down below. Anyways, guys, I do hope that you guys are taking all the precautions that you're supposed to be, staying home, washing your hands, avoiding social contact and stuff like that. Even though I've had like personally, just like my own little quick update, my own personal bad days during this sort of time, I've been just really working hard to try to be productive for my own self. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I started my brand new channel, Beauty Fruit, which I'm really excited about and will hopefully get me out of the funk of feeling overwhelmed from the times I do feel overwhelmed making videos here on Mangotology about Scientology and just negative, dark things like Shelly Miscavige, so I can have, you know, a little bit more passion, excitement about something like normal besides just exposing a cult and doing things that are highly emotionally triggering for me. And I'm working on a podcast, Mango Juice, which should be up in the next week or two. It's like a pop culture, celebrity, gossip type of podcast, but I'm gonna try to incorporate like interviews and talking to celebrities and just kind of having like a fun chit chat sort of show. I'll talk about Scientology, do some Scientology episodes over on there. I'm working on trying to set up a Patreon to do like more bonus content. Maybe I'm gonna start like a private chat group so you guys can chat with me privately, and I'm gonna have a level, even if it's like $10 a month, where you guys can get my phone number so you guys can actually text me and we can have kind of a more personal connection together here on Mangotology. But if you have just questions or just want to like hang out and chat and be friends and stuff like that, and being able to support me in my journey, whereas I can also provide you guys with a more intimate experience, and so we can have like more personal videos or things that I wouldn't put on my channel, but I would want to share to my like actual real hardcore subscribers who I know don't judge me and stuff. I would like to have that connection to you guys, so the Patreon should be coming soon, hopefully, as well. Again, $5, $10 a month at the lower levels. I'll go up higher than that if anyone does want to support more of my content. But again, in times like this, I was so excited when I started doing, like I said in an update a few weeks ago, I was doing the stand-in work on television shows. I was auditioning for TV shows and film. Like, I started getting in a place where I was starting to get on an upswing, and, you know, planning all these different YouTube channels and stuff. Yeah, that's all stuff I could do from home, but like my normal stuff, like outside of the home, like to have like a professional career and trying to go out and meet people, and my like meditation classes and things that I was doing that helped me when I'm having anxiety and panic attacks and stress and all these different things. I was starting to get myself in a bit of a routine, and now that's all basically like crushed because of this virus stuff, which I completely understand, like why we need to stay home and everything, but it's just hard when I was already in like a self-isolation for years, and I was finally like, wow, like I'm getting out of my depression and doing things and getting out of my comfort zone and trying to work and go on set and trying to pursue my dreams again. Now it's like, oh, took a million steps back. So I'm kind of coming up with other ideas of other content I can do, and the podcast and maybe the Patreon to kind of help supplement my income as well, because I just want to make something of myself, and I'm tired of feeling like a victim to my circumstance. And yeah, I didn't go to college because I was trying to be an auditor in Scientology. Yes, I, you know, chased after, and I am chasing after a big dream, and that again comes at a lot of different costs of your own sanity a lot of the times, but also professionally and personally, and it's a very challenging thing, obviously, and even just doing YouTube and putting content out there, it's a gamble in and of itself. So I'm hoping I can try to make more of a career out of my Beauty Fruit channel and my podcast, and just trying to feel like I can move on from my Scientology experience. So when I do make these videos, I'm kind of like more out of the hole, I guess you can say, that I've put myself in by being involved in such an organization and having not have really integrated back in the real world as I probably should have over the last couple of years, just because I was so emotionally drained. I was stuck in bed for months, like literally in bed, shower, go back to bed, and that's basically what my life was because of what I experienced, and just dealing with like that trauma and everything that happened inside Scientology during that time. So I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves during this time. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts about all of this that we discussed here today, and what you guys think in your personal opinion on Shelly Miscavige and the conversation that we discussed today with Karen, and Shelly. So I'm curious to hear all your opinions down in the comment box down below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up. Check out my beauty channel, Beauty Fruit, and my other YouTube channels are going to be linked down below in the description box if you guys are bored and you want to check out some of my other content. Thank you so much, guys, for all the love and support. Also, follow me on social media at Steven Mango. I'll be posting some Instagram stories and photos and different content over on social media. So if you don't follow me there, check me out over on social media. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.